It will always be the most important part. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to do 20 tastings a month, right? So some of you guys have full-time jobs, and some of you guys don't have any other thing that you're doing besides this, and some of you are somewhere in between, students, busy moms, what have you. But whether you want to do 6 tastings a month or 20 tastings a month, tastings are the crux of your business. So no bookings, no business, and we'll talk more about that as we go along. So my goal here is to be able to end the call today with you guys feeling comfortable that you have what you need to get some tastings on your books, both in terms of how to manage the systems and how to have the conversations and all that good stuff. So our topics for the evening are our Rich Rewards program, which is our quick start program, our Magnificent 7 program, which is how you earn free wine in the business. Everybody wants to know how to do that. I didn't get into this for the free wine, but I will tell you, I love my free wine. I do. We're going to do an introduction to our pay plan. We're not going to go all the way through the pay plan, but we are going to do the introduction so that you understand how you're paid today up to the first level of leadership. We're going to talk about samplers for tastings and how to have those conversations with your new hosts, and we're going to talk about next steps. So as we move through this, I'm going to share some screens with you guys. I'm going to kind of walk through these pieces, and I'm also going to tell you exactly where to find them in the wine cellar, which is your intranet, which hopefully you've already been in. We're going to stop after each topic, and I will answer any questions that you have about that topic, and then we'll move along to next. At the very end, we'll open it up for any other questions that you have. All right, so we are going to get right to work here. I'm going to start out sharing our Rich Rewards program with you. So a little bit about our Rich Rewards program. This is our Quick Start program, and in this program, you can earn all sorts of lovely things. So you can earn a case of free wine, you can earn hundreds and hundreds of dollars of free crystal stemware, and that's all great, right? But the most important part of our Rich Rewards program is that we have a very high stick rate with people who achieve at least some of these milestones, okay? And so what I mean by stick rate is it means you've launched a successful wine business, you're happy, you're making money, and so you stayed. So we're going to roll right into this. Just so you know, I'm going to show you at the end of this where you can find this exact brochure in your wine cellar. So as you have questions, you guys, you can ask them 2 ways. You can either wait until the end of the topic and ask, or you can pop them into the chat. Either way, whatever you're more comfortable with. Okay, so the first step in Rich Rewards is called Launch Plus 3. So essentially what that means, launch is your first tasting plus 3 more tastings. So what that means is if you can book 4 tastings with the samplers purchased, and again, we'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward, but it basically means your host has purchased her wine at a beautiful discount for her tasting. If you can book 4 tastings that have dates within your first 45 days and book those tastings in your first 7 days, you're going to get 25 wine bucks. So that means if you started with the business, for the sake of this evening, we're always going to talk about a February 1 start date, okay? So that means if you started in the business on February 1st, you have until February 8th to get your first 4 tastings in your back office, booked in your back office with samplers ordered. If you do that, you get 25 wine bucks. Those tastings need to take place between February 1st and March 18th, which is 45 days, okay? So when you print this off, if you haven't already printed it off, I would absolutely fill it out and say, who do I want my hosts to be? Who are my 4 hosts? And put their names on here, okay? So that is Launch Plus 3. Then we go to step 1. So you've booked your 4 tastings, and now it's time to actually go hold those tastings and close them. So in step 1, if you close those 4 tastings that you booked for a minimum of $1,000 in total volume, you earn a half a case of wine. Yay. So again, if it's February 1st, your 45-day mark is March 18th, okay? And just for a little bit of perspective on volume, might sound like a lot of money, that $1,000. It's not a lot of money. So the average wine tasting for the winery is a little under $500. My average tasting is about $700, but that's because I've been in sales for like 30 years, and I can also help you know exactly how to sell cases and half cases of wine instead of bottles of wine, and that is critical. You want to sell cases and half cases, and we'll talk more about that at another point. So close your 4 tastings for at least $1,000 in volume in your first 45 days. Get you a half a case of free wine. So essentially, you're looking at a tasting every 10 days. Okay. So step 1 plus, if during that same time frame, so between now and if you start on Feb 1, March 18th, your first 45 days, if you've recruited at least one person to your team, you can go ahead and turn that half case into a case. So step 1 plus means that you've done your 4 tastings for 1,000 and you've sponsored one new person into the business. So when you print off your Rich Rewards form, I highly suggest that you go ahead and put the name of that consultant that you want to do this business with you. It is never too early to recruit. I promise you that. You guys can learn together. And this is one of those fun things where you can say, wouldn't it be nice to be able to choose who you work with? Well, guess what? You can. So think about your friends. Think about somebody else who loves a little extra money, who likes wine, and talk to them about the opportunity. Or if you're not ready to do that, have your upline talk to them or plug them into one of the many opportunity calls that both I do on the regular and the winery does on the regular. Okay? So that is step 1 plus. So from there, you've done your 4 tastings for $1,000 in your first 45 days. In your next 30 days, so in your first 75 days, you want to close 3 more tastings for another $1,000 in volume. So in total now, you've done 7 tastings, right here, 7 tastings for at least $2,000 in volume. If you achieve step 2, you earn a lot of pretty beautiful crystal stemware. So you get a set of 4 of our bistro stem, which is the one that's pictured here, and you get a set of 4 of our universal stem, which is a white wine glass. Absolutely, our stems are beautiful. It's all I have in my house now. I use all our stems. So that is step 2. Finally, you have step 3. So step 3, if you become a team leader, and we're going to talk exactly about what that is when we get to our pay plan. And I will say this to you, even if you have no intention of building a team, you guys, you'll see when we go to the pay plan, you should absolutely set your sights on becoming a team leader in this business because you make a lot more commission. So if you become a team leader in your first 100 days with the business, you're going to earn even more stemware. So you're going to earn this beautiful Nouveau decanter, and you're going to earn a set of 4 of our master stems, our big Bordeaux glasses. They're absolutely beautiful. So all in, if you hit all the steps, you're going to get 12 crystal stems, a beautiful $100 decanter, and a case of free wine. Far more important than those things is you have now set yourself up to have a really successful wine business. And frankly, it's not really asking that much, right? It's a tasting every 10 days. So 4 tasting and 4, it's actually not even 10 days, right? Not even a tasting, I should say. So it's 4 tastings first 45 days, 7 tastings for 75 days. So the last page of this is very important. So you've got some calendars here. You could go ahead and put what month each one of these dates land in and mark it on your calendar if you so choose. From there, on the last page of this brochure, you've got your 40 hosts or prospects in 4 minutes. Now, are you really going to get 40 people in 4 minutes? Maybe if you have a really awesome network, but that's not really the point. The point is, if you look at all of these check marks, this is a really great mental exercise for you to go through and say, who in my network could help me launch my business? Who are my friends and relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, coworkers, kids, parents, friends of spouses, people who like to give gifts, people who like to entertain. So what I highly encourage you to do is sit down with this in front of you and make a list, right? Make a list of the people you think would either want to host for you or might be interested in the business or both. You will, as you're thinking about this, come across names in your mind where you're going to say, oh yeah, but I could never ask her, or I could never ask him. So I suggest that you have a separate sheet of paper, and at the top of that piece of paper, you write chicken list, because those are the people you're chicken to call, okay? And put all of those names down, and listen, it's your business. You don't have any boss in this business but you, but if it were me, I would call those people first. I would call them first because everybody's afraid to ask them for things. And so they don't get asked a lot, and they're going to be a lot more likely to say yes to you. So definitely call your chicken list, okay? Finally, at the very bottom of Rich Rewards, we give you a script that's going to help you reach out to your network and give you things to say, right? So you can go ahead and read all of this. It's a really good springboard for you in terms of how to build that conversation. So take it, mix it up, make it yours, do what you want with it, except for one sentence, you guys. And that sentence is the first sentence in paragraph 2. This is absolutely critical. So there's an old saying in sales. So I've been in commission sales for a lot of years. There's an old saying in sales. Good salespeople know how to overcome a stall. Great salespeople know how to architect the conversation so they never get the stall in the first place, right? And that's exactly what this does, because if you don't position it this way, you say, hey, Susie, I'm so excited. I've started my own wine business with a Napa Valley winery, and I'd love it if you would host for me. I need to have at least 4 people host tastings for me to launch my business. Will you do that? Susie says, yeah, definitely. No problem, Brandy, but let's wait until it gets warmer. And now you're stuck. Now you have a stall that's hard to overcome. So this first sentence is exactly how you overcome that stall, okay? Hey, Susie, I'm so excited to share with you that I launched my own business with a winery out of Napa. As part of my business launch, I need to have at least 4 tastings between February 15th and March 15th. I know you love wine, so I was really hoping I could count on you to host during that time frame. So what you've done is you've built the conversation so the stall doesn't come. She's not going to say, oh, great, let's wait until it's warm, because you're telling her you need her to do it between February 15th and March 15th. So know what that 45-day mark is. You need 2 weeks for your wine to ship. If you're in Washington, you're definitely safe in 10 days because it's going a lot less distance. So, that between day would be, if you're calling people tomorrow, between February 17th and March 15th. Right? I was really hoping I could count on you to host. Make no mistake, you guys, the first 3 months in your business are the hardest they're ever going to be, in my opinion, because you're building something out of nothing. So be ready for that. Be ready to make those phone calls. It's okay to be afraid. It's not okay to let that fear stop you from doing what you need to do to launch your business. In this business, you only have to hit up your primary network one time. So when I started in the business, I just come back from living in Dallas. I didn't know anybody because I worked my life away in a no-balance job for many, 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 many years. So I asked my neighbor across the street, who I didn't know at all, to host a tasting for me. She said she would. And I asked my old childhood friend from grade school, who I hadn't talked to in a really long time, to host a tasting for me, and she did. I got 3 bookings from one, 2 bookings from the other, and I never looked back. Your goal is to be doing tastings for strangers as soon as possible. So much so that when you're coaching your hosts, she's already agreed to host for you. You guys are moving toward the tasting. You want to make sure that you say to her, Susie, can you please make sure you invite people I don't know? I need to get out of my primary network. So definitely make that ask, you guys. Please invite people I don't know. So that's our Rich Rewards program. I'm going to show you where you can find the Rich Rewards program. Give me 1 second here. So stop sharing that. So, I lost you guys. Where are you? There you go. That was scary. All right, so in your wine cellar, so this is what your wine cellar looks like, right? To find information on your Rich Rewards program, you're going to go under Rewards, and right there, you'll see Rich Rewards program. And there's going to be all of the specifics on what we just covered, and you can download and print that PDF. So there's a video explaining essentially what I just explained, okay? And then you can download the PDF right here of what we just went through. Lastly, when you achieve your Launch Plus 3, this is where you're going to go in and fill out, this is how you redeem your 25 wine bucks. So once you've booked your 4 tastings in your first 7 days and the samplers are purchased, you're going to go in and just fill all of this in, and you're going to put the tasting IDs for all 4, click submit, and you're going to get your 25 wine bucks. So that's Rich Rewards. So I'm going to pause for a second, you guys, and I'm going to open it up. Just go ahead and unmute yourself if you have a question. Does anybody have questions or need clarification on anything as it pertains to Rich Rewards? Straightforward, one and done, no problem. All right. So the next thing that we are going to talk about, you guys, is our awesome, magnificent 7 programs. So when I started doing this, I did not know that you could earn free wine every single month. And I will tell you, I earned usually a case. But if not a case, at least a half a case of free wine every month. There's nothing that you have to do except for hit the points, and it shows up at your door, which is just such a lovely bonus. So let me go through and explain our Magnificent 7 program and how that works. So this is our Mag 7 program. It's a point-based system. So if you earn 7 points in a month, you've earned a half a case of wine. If you earn 12 points in a month, you've earned a case of wine. And here's how you earn those points. I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so that you can see it, or maybe so that I can see it. All right. So if you recruit someone onto your team, you sponsor a new consultant into the business, you get a point right off the bat. That new consultant doesn't need to have her first tasting or anything. You recruit her, you get a point. So little Brandy Flood over here, she's like, little, how do you read it? Little Brandy Flood over here already has 5 people that she has sponsored onto her team in February. She's already got 5 out of the 7 points she needs to earn a half a case of wine. So every new consultant that joins your team, you get a point. Every new consultant who achieves any of the steps other than launch plus 3. So they achieve step 1, step 1 plus, step 2, or step 3. You get a point each time one of the people on your team achieves any one of those steps. Then finally, you get a point for every $400 you produce in personal volume. So essentially, if you didn't recruit anybody this month, you have to do $2,800 in volume to earn a half a case of wine, and $4,800 in volume to earn a full case. So 7 points get you a half a case, 12 points get you a full case, right? So 7 times 4 is 2,800, 7 times 12, wait a minute, 7 times 4 is 2,800, sorry. 4 times 12 is 4,800, and that's how we get to those numbers. There's nothing, as I said, that you have to do to actually get this. The company tracks it, you earn it, they ship it once a month, usually around about the 15th or 20th of the month. So I love Mag 7. I always like to make sure everybody knows how to earn free wine, because free wine is awesome. Any questions for me on the Mag 7 program? Nada? All right. We're moving along pretty quick tonight, you guys. All right. So the next thing we are going to talk about is our compensation plan. Go ahead and share that. All right. So this is a lot of numbers. You'll probably have questions after this one. We are only going to go up to team leader, and you'll see why. So the way this matrix is architected is the top half of this is how you are paid on your personal volume, the wine that you sell personally. The bottom half is how we are paid on team, okay? So as a brand new independent wine consultant, we make between 20 and 35% commission based on what we sell every month. We have what we call bonus gates. So if you sell $1,500 of wine in a month, you hit your first bonus gate, and you are now at 25% commission. That's our first bonus gate. If you do $2,500 in a month, you hit our second bonus gate, so now you're making 30% commission. And finally, at $3,500 a month, you hit your third bonus gate, which is going to give you 35%. So 20, 25, 30, 35. That is an excellent commission rate. So if you are brand new coming out of the chutes and you hit your 35%, who's got a calculator? Somebody gonna do the math on that? What is that? I'll do it. Why not? So 3,500 times 0.35, you're gonna make $1,225 on $3,500 as an independent wine consultant. So to become a senior wine consultant, what that means is you have brought one person onto your team. So that's one qualified, personally sponsored wine consultant. That consultant, one personally sponsored wine consultant, and you have to personally produce at least $600 in volume. Okay, so sell $600 yourself and sponsor one person to your team. That's your first promotion to senior wine consultant. Okay, so what that means is your pay on your personal sales does not change at this level, but you are now going to earn 3% of everything your new consultant sells. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that so far? Oh, yes, Michelle, let me unmute you. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, so I guess the personal volume I'm a little confused about. So is that just things that I personally sell to people, or does that include the tastings that are underneath me and what I sell at those tastings?
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's all the wine you sell in whatever avenue you sell the wine. Okay. So there is a $2, while we're talking about personal volume, it's a great question, Michelle. Thank you for asking. So there is a $2 per bottle non-commissionable fee. And the reason for that is when I started with the business, it used to be really expensive. I can't really remember because it was only for 6 months that I was here, but I want to say it was like $29 for a case of wine and $24 for half a case of wine. Now, for shipping, sorry. Now it's $10 to ship a case of wine, $12.50 for a half a case. So the shipping has gone down dramatically by 2/3. And the way that we did that is in August of 2017, we raised the price of every wine on the menu by $2 and made those $2 non-commissionable. So essentially what the winery did was build some shipping into the price of the wine and pass the cost down to the customer. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So essentially, if you sell 50 bottles of wine in the month, you're going to have $100 non-commissionable. And that's what you'll see when you look at your tasting. You're going to see sales. You're going to see sales toward rewards, which is what your hosts get their perks based on. And then you're going to see personal volume. And the personal volume is net of all of that. And while we're talking about commission and how we get paid, so we get paid 100% of our volume minus the $2 a bottle on wine. We get paid 50% volume on accessories. So if you sell stemware, if you sell gift baskets, any of our wine accessories are non-wine items, 50% of that goes into your commissionable volume. So sell $100 in stemware, 50% of that goes into your personal volume. It's called PV. Okay, any questions on that before we keep going? Okay, all right. So now we're going to talk about team leader, and this is where you're going to see why I feel very strongly. I tell everybody who joins the team, whether you want to build a team or not, you should really set your sights on team leader. So when I started with the business, I'll be honest with you, I came out of a corporate background. I kind of thought all direct sales was snake oil. I didn't really believe I could make something significant out of this, but there was almost no investment to get started. It's easy to quit if you don't want to stay. So I was like, why not? I love wine. I'll give it a shot. So then I pulled up the career plan and I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, hold the phone. What is this? So everywhere you see yellow on this career plan, you guys, it means it's an incremental increase in your income. Okay, so that's why I've highlighted all of this stuff yellow. So let me explain. So as a team leader, to become a team leader, first of all, you have to sponsor 3 people onto your team. You have to do $1,000 of volume yourself, up to which 500 of it can be wine club volume. But you guys, this is already a bit like drinking from the fire hose. So I believe in layering in things as you get comfortable with one perspective of the business. So I'm not going to talk too much about wine club right now. We can layer it in. But know that to be a team leader, $1,000 in personal volume. I've already got that in for the month, by the way. 3 people on your team and total team volume of $3,500. Okay. So to give you some perspective, when I joined the business, I saw this. I said, oh my gosh, I can increase my commission ranges by 9%. Okay, what do I have to do to be a team leader? 3 people, I can do that. So January 17 was my first full month in the business. I recruited my 3 people, but none of them had launched yet. So I did 6 tastings in January. I did 35, 31 in volume. So I satisfied my team leader team requirement myself and promoted to team leader my first month in the business. I can do it, you can do it too, if you're interested in it. So what that means is 1,000 of it minimum has to be yours, but you can satisfy the whole thing. You just need 3,500 total central team volume. So if you do 3,500 yourself, your team's off the hook for that month, but they do have to remain active, which means they have to do at least $350 every 90 days. So let me explain how you're paid at that point. So you still make your 20%, but as a team leader, you get a 5% team leader bonus from $1 that you sell each month. And I should also mention specifically for Michelle, you're paid the same way on your wine that you sell, whether they buy it right off your website, whether they buy it off the app, or whether they buy it from you in a tasting. So it's all the same. You get paid, it's all personal volume. All of that goes into your kitty, okay? So you get a 5% team leader bonus from $1 that you sell. And you get a 4% central team bonus, because once you have 3 people, you're considered to have a central team of people. So your base commission now is 29%. So a lot of people think, ooh, that's a nice 9% increase in my pay. It's not a 9% increase. At 20%, another 9% is a 45% increase in your income, right? So if you sell $1,000 of wine at 20%, you're going to make $200. At 29%, you're going to make $290, right? It's a massive increase in your income. So when I saw that, I said, oh, okay, I need to be a team leader. Now, if you would have told me 2 years later I'd have like 155 people on the team, I wouldn't have believed you, but yay, life is good. It's a great business, pretty easy to build. So you're 29% base now, and then the same bonus gates apply. But now, at $1,500, instead of making 25%, you're going to make 34% because you're already at 29%. Your base commission as a team leader is 29%. Hit 1,500, you go to 34%. Hit 2,500, you go to 39%. Hit 3,500, you go to 44% commission. So for context, in terms of what that looks like for pay, last weekend I did 2 wine tastings. I sold about $1,350 worth of wine, and I made $600. I worked 4 hours. So that is a pretty impressive pay plan. On top of that, you guys, you're now going to get the 3% business building that you got as a senior wine consultant, but now you're also going to get 4% of your team because you're going to get a central team bonus on their sales. So you now make 7% of everything your team sells on top of your 29 to 44% personal sales. So that is a lot of numbers, and a lot of times people glaze over at this point, right? So what I'm not going to do is take us all the way on down the road here, but I do just want to point out, so I've been in the business for 2 years. I'm here. I'm at managing director. And as a managing director, I make a $1,500 a month. All those requirements are, you can read them yourself. You can reach out to your upline or me, whomever you like, if you have questions on it. But page 2 of the career plan gives you, this is really great because on the left, it gives you very specifically all of the qualifications that you need to achieve a level. And it gives you a legend of definitions here because, like most businesses, we have 9,000 acronyms. So, what is PVV? What is WCV? What is BBB? What is CTQV? So this lays it all out for you and tells you what all of those definitions are. So I'm going to show you where to find this in a second. But before I do that, I'm going to open it up and see if anybody has any other questions or clarifying things that you need based on knowing how you're paid, in my opinion, is absolutely critical. We should all know how we're getting paid. So does anybody have any questions I can answer in terms of how you're paid? We're good? Smarty dances. All right. So let me go ahead and stop that share. And I'm going to show you where you can find this in your wine setter. Give me 1 second. And let me reshare. All right, so to find the career plan in your wine cellar, and the only difference between the one that's in your wine cellar and the one that I just showed you is it doesn't have those highlighted boxes. So you're going to go into training, and you're going to go into, that's right. Training, you're going to go all the way to the bottom of that drop down to training policies and docs. And then you are going to go to career plan, how you are paid, career plan. And the exact same matrix that we just showed you will pop up eventually if my internet works. There we go. So there it is. So that is how you find that. And I should have mentioned that I need a volunteer. So we're going to talk about custom packs and samplers. And this is how your host gets his or her wine for their tasting, okay? So there are 5 different samplers to choose from. The wines change at least once a month, sometimes more frequently than once a month, depending on whether or not a wine went on the last call list or whatever reason. But usually it's about once a month, and they usually update about mid-month, okay? So when I talk to my hosts about the wine, I do not talk to them about specific wines. I talk to them about composition, and it sounds like this, right? So we've got an original sampler. It's a sparkling, a white, and 3 reds. So there's a couple of whites in there to satisfy your white drinkers, but it leans drier and it leans redder. We have the Renegade, which is a sparkling, 2 whites, 2 reds. Certainly something for everyone in this sampler. There is typically only 1 dry red in the sampler, and then there's usually a sweet red, 2 whites, and a sparkling. There's the Collector, which is 5 red wines. No sparkling. It's for the on Wednesdays and Thursdays and Mondays, Tuesdays, Sundays. We drink red crowd. And then we have the Romantic, which is all light and sweet wines. So there sometimes is a sweet red in there, but it's typically sweet whites, rosés. Usually there's probably 1 sweet red. And then there is the Individualist, which is our personalized wine sampler. So to give you an idea of how my samplers break down on my team, and Brandy, if yours is different, definitely chime in. I will tell you that probably 60% of my samplers are the Renegade. 35% of my samplers are the original. 4.5% of my samplers are the Collector. And who am I really kidding? I don't really do the Romantic, but some people do. Okay, my concern with the Romantic is if there's anyone in the room that doesn't like sweet wine, they're sort of out in the cold. I think you can get the job done with the Renegade, even though there's still 1 dry red in there, to show the people in the room what our dry reds taste like. Okay, so I do not go through this. Is there anybody on the line right now who's head spinning over all the samplers? Anyone? No? All right. Well, a lot of times your host's head will spin. So I spent 8 years in bridal. So I know what it's like to be in a room of 10,000 white dresses, and I learned early on that too many selections is not so good for a customer. So what I do is I narrow it down for my host. So I need someone to volunteer to be my host for me, okay? And you can be realistic as you like, and I'm going to show you how I get that sampler sold. And the other thing I just want to mention, you guys, and this is really important, number 1, I want to remind you, no bookings, no business. So all your time and effort that you're spending right now on launching your new wine business should be to get tastings on your calendar. And in my opinion, it is not a real tasting if they have not purchased their sampler, okay? They have to purchase their sampler. I do not hold a date without a sampler purchased, and I just won't do it, right? So here's the scenario. So we're at a wine tasting. Whoever is going to be my volunteer to be my host, you have just purchased a half a case of wine from me. You've bought about $200, let's say, of wine from me, and you want to host your own tasting. And so now we're going to narrow it down. We're going to book your tasting and get you to purchase your sampler, okay? So who do I have? Who's volunteering? Lexi, you volunteering?
Sure.
Hi, Lexi. How are you?
Hi.
Welcome to the team. All right. So you just made that purchase. I'm going to stop this share real quick because I don't even want you to look at that thing. Okay. So let me get rid of that. All right. There we go. Now we can see each other. Hey, girl. All right. Okay, Lexi. So you're all set. So you're going to get your wine that you ordered tonight in about a week. Blah, blah, blah. Let's go ahead and get your tasting nailed down, okay? So your tasting's going to be on February 28th. And Lexi, are you going to have a mix of men and women, or is it going to be a ladies event?
I have just invited women.
Just with all ladies. Okay, great. And do you think you're going to have a mix then of red and white drinkers?
I don't know.
Okay. So typically that's okay. So typically when people don't know, I usually recommend that we go with our Renegade sampler. So that's going to give you a sparkling, 2 whites, 2 reds. It's got something in there for everybody. So you'll have a dry red and probably an off dry or a sweet red, and then you'll have 2 whites and a sparkling. So it's kind of gives you an opportunity to taste from every vino type on our menu. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay, great. So let me go ahead and put that in. And about how many people do you think you're going to have? So a great wine tasting is between 8 and 12 wine lovers. You can go a little bit higher if you want. But how many people are you thinking you want to have?
I don't know, 15, 20.
15,
20.
15. Okay. Well, I think 15, 16 is a pretty good max number to have, because it can be hard to kind of have that fun, intimate experience and have everybody feel like they're involved if it gets too big. So if you're going to have 15 people, I usually like for there to be about a half a bottle of wine per guest. So your sampler is going to give you 5 wines that we're going to taste at the tasting, and it's going to give you a bottle of sparkling. That's one of your gifts for hosting. We're not going to open that day. But if you're thinking 15, I would suggest an add-on, okay? So let me show you what those look like real quick here. All right. So I've got a couple of different things to choose from. So you guys, I'm going to break for a second here. If I think that Lexi is cost conscious, I'm going to go to the tables, okay? If I think that the money is not an object to her, I'm going to open it up to the other ones as well. So if I was going to talk about the table wines, I would say, so Lexi, the most economical add-on to do would be our tables. So we've got a add-on. You can only choose one add-on, by the way, with your sampler. And the add-ons are not discounted, but you get the great deal on shipping. So there's no additional shipping from this price, because they just throw it into the box with the sampler, okay? So we have a 2-pack table add-on. For $35, you can get a table red and a table white. So then that's going to give you a sparkling, 3 whites and 3 reds. And that way you'll have about a half a bottle of wine for everybody. And it's also a great way to taste our table wines, because normally our table wines have to be purchased in quantities of 3. They're 3 for $48. But this way you can get 1 table white, 1 table red, see what you think about them, and that way you'll have enough wine for your tasting. Does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Okay, great. So let me go ahead and add that on. All right, so that'll be 35, and your sample is 39. All right, Lexi, so I just need your credit card one more time, and that is going to be a total. I'm going to make up a number here, you guys. So your total, including your add-on, including shipping and everything, is $78 for your wine for your tasting, okay?
Okay.
All right, well, that was simple. Lexi didn't give me any stalls. Might you stall me, Lexi, if you just bought $200 of wine from me and now I'm telling you I need another 78?
I don't know.
So sometimes they do, you guys. And the reason that I ask is because, now not often, I almost never get stalls, but I used to. So what will happen to you in this business, you guys, the more confident you get and comfortable you get, the fewer stalls and objections you get from your hosts. So you're just kind of guiding them through the process. However, somebody might say something to you like, oh, I have to buy that tonight. I just spent $200 on wine. I have to do it tonight. And I'm going to say, you know what, Lexi, no worries at all. So your tasting isn't until the 28th. We're going to go ahead and enter your card information now, but your card isn't going to charge and your wine isn't going to ship until 2 weeks before your tasting. So the wine you bought on your order tonight, your card charged for that. But this charge isn't going to go through. Today's the 6th. It'll probably go through in about a week, okay? And that's even for a close-up tasting. So that's how you overcome that. You let them know that it's not going to charge until 2 weeks before, and that's a fact. It always charges about 15 days before. If they still push you back, I personally don't book the tasting. And what I'll say to them is, I totally understand. I don't want to put you on the spot. Unfortunately, I can't hold the date unless your wine is on order. So if you want to, we could look at a date further down the road, or I can call you in a couple of weeks, whatever you want to do. But you guys, you don't want to be in the habit ever of having to chase people down for their credit card or chase them down for money because people are hard to find. At any given moment, I've got between 15 and 20 paid tastings in my back office. I do not consider it a real tasting if the sampler is not purchased. So I do bring these. And there's two ways, by the way, also, you don't get any commission on samplers because that wine is discounted by almost 80%, right? They're paying $39.95 for a half a case of wine, including shipping. It's an amazing deal. And that's why it's easy to get bookings, right? You don't get any commission on that. You get full commission on these add-ons. So again, they can only choose one add-on with their sampler, but there are 1, 2, and 3 bottle options for the add-ons. Another very popular add-on, if I'm talking to somebody who I know is a military family, I add on the glory wines pretty regularly because these benefit America's mighty warriors. So full commission on add-ons, no commission on samplers. Okay, so I do bring these pages for the add-ons. But and it's up to you. I'm just telling you what works for me, right? But I don't show them all of this. And just for me, I don't ever do the individualist sampler because that is personalized wines only. And I sell more personalized wine based on the fact that you can personalize it. I don't know that people feel absolutely adamant that they have to taste that wine. If they taste our other wine in the collection, they see the quality of it and they're comfortable with purchasing personalized wine. So those are our samplers. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share. And that was a lot of info. So let me just open it up and see if anybody has any questions or needs clarification on anything we just covered. No, we're good? Wow, you guys are a quick group. All right, so last, but certainly not least, here's where we go from here. Oh, wait, I see a chat. So you wouldn't recommend doing the romantic? Well, so Lexi asked you wouldn't recommend doing the romantic. I'm not saying that at all. Here's what happens is, let me explain why I suggested the Renegade to Lexi, right? So you want to be careful. The other reason that you don't want to show all of those samplers is because it's overwhelming for the host. And then she'll say something to you like, you know what, I'm going to have to poll all my guests and find out what each guest likes before I choose a sampler. And now you're walking away with tasting with no sampler purchased, right? And now you're chasing your customer. So the way that I look at it is this. When I ask, is your tasting going to be all ladies or is it going to be a mix of men and women? The reason I ask that question is because men lean red. 90% of guys drink red wine. If they drink wine, they drink red wine, okay? So they lean red. And so if Lexi told me it was going to be a couples event, I would have asked her the same question. I would have said, so you think you're going to have a mix of red and white drinkers? She would have either said the same, either I don't know or yes, right? So if she said it was couples and she didn't know, so the same conversation, I don't know what they like, I would have recommended the original. And I would have said, you know what, Lexi, most men like red wine. So since we don't know what our guests like, I would recommend the original. You're going to get a sparkling, a white, and 3 reds. So it's going to lean redder. It's going to lean drier for our guys. But there's also a couple of whites in there to satisfy our white drinkers. So if there's men in the room, I recommend the original. If it's a ladies' event, I recommend the Renegade because more women tend to like lighter, sweeter wines, right? You will know if you should do the collector and you will know if you should do the romantic. Because when I say, so are you going to have a mix of red and white drinkers? The collector, your host is going to say, absolutely not, all my friends drink red. There you go. So now you know you're an all red sampler. Or she's going to say, you know what, most of my friends really love sweet wine. So you have 2 options. You can either do what I do, which is still recommend the Renegade, because you're really only getting 1 dry wine in the Renegade. It comes with our semi-secco sparkling, which is our sweet sparkling, and it comes with 2 whites and 2 reds, and typically one of the reds is a sweet red. So you're only just so if it's a room full of sweet drinkers, you can still get the job done with the Renegade versus the romantic. But again, I mean, so listen, the younger ladies, the 25 crowd, tends to like sweet wine. I would consider the romantic for the 25-year-old crowd. And I'll tell you who else loves a lot of sweet wine is your 75-year-old bridge clubs, right? So, I mean, listen to what your host is saying to you and act accordingly would be my advice. So I am not saying never on the Renegade, right? So we have these samplers for a reason, all of them. I would assume that some people have probably been successful with the individualist. I've just had a number of people not be, because there's people there that are like, I don't want it to personalize, but I'm not buying from you because I wasn't able to taste anything that you don't have to personalize, if that makes sense, because all of the wines in the individualist are personalized. If someone who is hosting wants more than 4 bottles for their party, do we have to charge 2 separate transactions? So you would do an add-on. So it's 5 bottles, not 4. So they get 5 bottles to taste, and they get 1 bottle that is their gift bottle that I personally, some consultants open that at the tasting. I do not. I consider that one of the host perks, right? So they get 5 bottles. If they want more, that's when you go to the add-on, okay? And you don't have to do 2 separate transactions. When you're ordering the sampler, it says upgrade my sampler, and it's a drop down, and you can choose one of the add-ons, and it goes into the sampler. And there's a couple of things, you guys. I will tell you that, so for example, if somebody wanted to do a 3-bottle add-on, I personally would probably not do all 3 of those in the tasting lineup. I think you'd be there pouring wine forever. I don't usually like to have more than 6 wines in the actual lineup for the tasting. The extra bottles are there for them to enjoy after. And if they like them, of course, they can buy them because I'm there collecting orders and all of that, right? So I usually take them out of the lineup. And I just want to do a myth buster here while we're talking about too much wine. A lot of people think drunk girls buy more. That is a mistake. Drunk girls do not buy more, whether they're 20 or 60. Women become very conservative with their wallets when they know they're too tipsy. Now, drunk guys, they tend to buy more. You're getting a case, I'm getting 2 cases. Wine goggles. But don't think that your job is to get people drunk. You don't want to. That's why we have the posse pours, right? So you really want to limit it to 1 ounce pours. And I don't want this to digress into a whole tasting tutorial because that will come. Right now, what you want to do is get your feet under you, learn the rules of the wine road, and get your tastings on your books. Because certainly between me, between the winery, and between your upline, if it's not me, I know Brandy is the upline for a lot of the folks on this call right now. We're going to do more training before that day comes that you're standing up doing a tasting, all right? But yeah, 1 upgrade per sampler. There are 1, 2, and 3 bottle options. All right, so last but certainly not least, where do you go from here, you guys? So I'm going to share another screen with you. So if you haven't already done it, in your wine cellar, if you go under training and new IWC, so IWC is independent wine consultant, right? Go under training, go to new IWC, start here. That is your training program that you want to do. So it is all video based. It's a 4-section training program, okay? When you open it up, you can see that there is video after video after video. It takes you through rules. Sorry, I hope I'm not freezing up on you guys because this thing's taking forever. All right, so it takes you through rules of the wine road, where we do business, where to find what, where to go for support. So there's really 2 places to go for support, you guys. One is right here, right? It's in your wine cellar. There's a ton of training in here. And the other is your upline and or me. So this is my full-time job. So if you need anything, I'm available to everybody. Just give me a call, give me a text, reach out on Facebook. But this is an important training program for you. So at the very top of this, there is, or at least there was, is it gone? At the very top of this, there we go. There is a checklist, right? So I would encourage you to click this link right here, print off the checklist. All of these sections total to about 3 hours of information, okay? So would encourage you, as your time permits, go ahead and watch these in order. They tend to build on each other. Check off on your checklist so you know where you left off, and go through your new IWC training. That's the next step here. After that, let me tell you, there is a plethora of training in your website. You see where it says webinar archive here, tons and tons of info. Calls and events, tons and tons of info. So there is a treasure trove of training on our wine cellar. All of that said, I upline, go with him or her, see what the tastings are all about. There's a ton of videos to watch, but it's just still not the same as it is when you're in a real world environment. And focus all of your time, all of your effort on bookings. No bookings, no business, right? So that's the most important thing you can do. Do it quickly. A lot of people wait, and then you kind of wait. You make it this big thing in your head when it doesn't have to be. The tastings are pretty straightforward, you guys. It's pour wine, have fun. You know, it's really make it all about the wine. I know a decent amount about wine, and I actually don't share what I know about wine. I just keep it really, really simple and fun. If they're having fun, I can promise you, if there's anyone on the line who hasn't yet tasted the wine is spectacular. It's amazing. So the wine does all the heavy lifting. The wine sells itself. You just got to show up and make sure that everybody's having a good time while they're drinking it. So that is it. That is all that I have for you guys. I'm going to open it up now for any questions on either the things that we've covered, or if you have any other questions about the business that you'd like to throw out there. That is why we're here. Brandy, did I miss anything? Anything to add?
Sorry about that. No, I think you did good.
All right. What'd you say?
That's a lot of information.
It is a lot of information, right? But it's what you need to kind of get going. I think it's important to know how you get paid, and I think it's important to know how to have that conversation with your guests about the samplers, because that's what you're going to have to be able to relay to them, when you're getting tastings on your books. So
Definitely.
Any other questions? Anything anybody else wants to talk about? Smart group. They're like, done. Let me go book some tastings. It says no bookings.
In the wine cellar. Sorry.
Yep.
In the wine cellar, it says welcome call for new RWCs on February 11th.
Yep.
Is that it says 4 to 4:30? I'm not work till 5:30. Unless, what day is that on? It's on Monday. Is that standard time?
Usually it's Pacific.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Oh, sorry. Your standard and our standard are different, girl.
Sorry.
So here's the thing, though, is we record almost, I don't want anybody, so you guys are going to get a lot of emails, both from the winery as well as perhaps some senior executive directors in the business. And I just want everybody to know, remember, this is your business. So what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, right? But I don't want anybody on the line to worry, oh my gosh, I missed a call. We have a lot of people that work full time or have different commitments. So most of the calls are recorded. Most of the time you can pick up the recording at your convenience. I post a lot of the recordings in our team page. And there's a lot of stuff that happens at night. And if you can't hit one, you can hit the other one if you want to go. The welcome call is, I love for my people to attend the things that are sponsored by the winery, because I like for us all to be connected to the winery itself. Since we are all self-employed, sometimes we can feel like islands, if you will, but I don't want you to worry about it. When you get those emails like, oh my God, there's 17,000 calls. You guys, there are 17,000 calls. And the reason that we do that is if you've got a robust calendar of calls, what that does is it provides support for all sorts of different schedules, right? So that's why there's a lot. Don't feel like you have to go to every call. This call is a one and done. So I do these calls twice a week right now. And I also do opportunity calls twice a week. So once you've gone to this onboarding once, it doesn't really make sense for you to go to another onboarding. From here, if there's things we covered that you have questions on, you reach out to your upline or post it in Wine Tycoons or what have you, but this is kind of a one-time call. So I don't want anybody to worry. I've had people call me and say, I can't make all these calls. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? You're not expected to make all the calls. And again, you're your own boss. So I hope that answered, Lexi. What else you guys got? Any other questions? All right. So at this point, the official onboarding portion of the call is over, and I am going to switch gears, and I am going to go into how to earn the incentive trip. So the incentive trip is going to happen next January, well, I guess it's this January now, right? That's exciting. So January 2020 is our next luxury incentive trip. It is an 8-day, 7-night Caribbean cruise on the Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas, largest private cruise ship on Earth. I believe it made its maiden voyage in 2018, so it's a brand new cruise ship. And I can tell you that I've been on 2 of these incentive trips so far, and the winery does not play games. Like, these are straight up luxury vacations. So trust me when I tell you, you're not in steerage. So I want to walk people through. If you want to stay on, great. And I am going to walk people through how to earn our wonderful, amazing cruise. So I am going to pull up the flyer right now, and I am going to screen share that for you and explain the cruise. All right, here we go. Okay, so our qualification period for this cruise is between February 1st, so it literally just started, and July 31st, 2019. You need 48 points to get on a boat. If I brag, I was the first person in the company to earn the cruise for period 1, yay. And what I'm really doing is bragging on the team of people that I brought on, because they're the people that got me on the boat first. So you need 48 points to go. And you need to bring on a team of at least 6 personally sponsored wine consultants who have qualified with $350 in volume, okay? If you want to earn the trip for 2, you need 72 points, but we're not going to get into all of that. We're going to stick with the 48 points. How do you do it? So we're going to skip over this leader part because you're not there yet. Another 6 months you'd be there, right? But not there yet. So how do you earn points? You earn points by selling wine. So for every $1,000 you do in personal volume, you get a point. And this is, again, from February 1st through July 31st. Every $1,000 in volume you do, you get a point. For each new first-time consultant that you bring on your team who produces at least $350 in volume during the qualification period, you get a point. For every $1,000 they do during the qualification period, you get a point. So you bring 6 people onto your team. As soon as one of them does $350, you get a point for them. Once all 6 of them do $350 each, you're going to get 6 points, and they're going to roll into a pool, right? So now, for every $1,000 they produce collectively, you get another point toward the cruise, okay? For every new wine club, every 5 new wine club members, so every 5 people who join your wine club who have at least 1 auto ship, you get a point. Anytime you promote personally. So when you become a senior wine consultant, which means you've brought 1 person on your team and you've done 600 in volume, you're going to get 2 points toward the cruise. When you promote to team leader, you get 2 points. When you promote to group leader, every single self-promotion you get is 2 points toward the trip for you. Anytime a team leader promotes on your team, 2 more points. Okay, so promote somebody on your team, 2 points. Promote yourself, 2 points. All right, now here's the interesting part. Before I get to the interesting part, let me just stop right there. Does anyone have any questions on how to earn points for the trip? Good? All right, here's where it gets really, really exciting. So I think you probably already know, so we've got this big drawing going for the Wine Tycoons of America, right? So anybody who sponsors at least 5 people in February, and 3 of those people qualify by the end of March, they go into a drawing, they get 1 entry into the drawing for a $500 Visa gift card. If all 5 of your people qualify by end of March, you get 3 more, so you get a total of 4 entries. And that's a $500 Visa gift card, yay. So on top of that, February is double points month for sponsoring. So coming back up here, you sponsor somebody who does $350 in volume, you get a point. Well, if you sponsored them in February and they do that $350 in volume by the end of March, the promotion happening right now is you get 2 points, okay? 2 points instead of 1. But wait, there's more. If you are a new independent wine consultant and you sponsor someone in February who qualifies with their $350 within your first 45 days, has to be, so this is not the end of March, right? So again, if you join the business on February 1st, your 45-day mark is March 18th, okay? So if that person qualifies with $350 in volume on or before March 18th, you get a 3rd point. So let's say you recruit 5 people in February, and they all qualify with their $350 in volume by March 18th. You're going to get 15 points toward the cruise. You only need 48 to go. And the other thing that I would point out is you're getting double in your first 45 days. You're getting double points for your volume as well. Okay, so that means instead of getting 1 point per 1,000, you're getting 2 points for every $1,000 you do in your first 45 days of business. So that is really exciting. I mean, if you get some tastings on the books, right? And by the way, we talk about 4 and 45 days, but certainly it doesn't have to only be 4. Whatever you want it to be. I mean, you could easily do 10 tastings in your first 45 days, right? So you could more than feasibly walk away from your first 45 days in the business with half the points you need to get on the boat. And you've got until July 31st to get there. So like I say, I earned my first trip 5 months into the business, not even knowing about it. Just recruiting people and selling wine. And now with these double dippings that you guys can participate in, it's pretty darn exciting. So that is how you earn the cruise, okay? So if you want to know how to see this flyer right here, you're going to go into rewards. You're going to go into dream vacations. You're going to scroll down. Here are the dates, by the way. The 11th through the 18th of January is when the cruise takes place. Includes everything. Airfare to Miami, hotel to stay in the night before, so you're there bright and early, and passage on the cruise, right? So you go here, and then you go to Dream Vacations Period 2 flyer, and this flyer will come up. So then it gets into all kinds of FAQs, right? What ifs, basically. So this is period 2. So like the first cruise or the first trip that I earned to Costa Rica, I had totally missed. I was just like you. So I joined the business in December, so I totally missed the first qualification period. So I earned it for my husband, or I earned it for me, and we bought my husband in. But just so you know, like if you get all the way up to 72 points and you recruit 8, and by the way, I just want to be clear. So I'm talking about recruiting your 6 in February because I believe my strategy has always been I want to get these people on my team early so that pool of thousands of dollars that they produce, I have 5 or 6 months of that instead of them coming on in June where I only have 2 months of their volume, right? So if you recruit these people early on, there's no reason to not think that you could get to the 72 points. So just so you guys know, I had 101 points. I ended qualification period 1 with 101 points. So there's no reason to believe that you can't get to 72 points, especially with this triple dipping, if you will, that's going on between the double points for sponsoring and double points for new IWCs in their first 45 days. So I want as many wine tycoons of America as we can possibly get on that boat. We've already got 3, as I said. Brandy's earned it. Mo Olison out of Seattle area as well has earned it, and I've earned it. And I know there's a lot of people that are really going after it for period 2. So that's the trip. It's pretty amazing. I'm pretty excited about it. It's going to be fun. And the itinerary is awesome. So any questions in terms of how to earn the cruise or the double points or the new IWC incentives? No? All right. Well, you guys, that concludes our onboarding call. I want to tell you again, I am here for you in whatever capacity you need. I'm going to give you my phone number right now. My number is 630-337-7645. My parting advice to you is listen to your upline. My father always said a smart person learns from their mistakes and a really smart person learns from somebody else's. And that's absolutely true of good things too, not just mistakes, right? So listen to the people that have done it before you. Make this business your own, have ownership, and I promise you, you know, the first 3 months, you're building something out of nothing. You've got to establish momentum. Be ready for some people to say no to you. Be ready for some disappointments, but also be ready to be incredibly pleasantly surprised when you walk in a tasting and you walk out with $1,000 in sales. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just made a ton of money sharing wine with fun people and working 2 hours, right? I've never been in a more fun business. I've never been happier. And I had a great career in retail, you guys, but I have never been happier at what I'm doing than what I'm doing right now. And I think that you can be too. So go after it. Be the business owners that you absolutely are now. And I wish you all the best. Cheers to everybody. Brandy, you got anything you want to add? And I'll just say before we hang up, you guys, we have been graced by a pretty special person who, and I'm kind of honored that she's getting value out of this. So Diane Nozick is on the call with us today. I won't tell you what she makes because somebody told me and that would be rude, but it's astronomical. Diane is the godmother of Wine Shop at Home. So if I have this right, I'm pretty sure everybody in the entire company rolls up to Diane. She's been with the business, I think, for about 15 years. Or close to that. So Diane, you know, we've got a pretty good handful of people on the call here. So I'm just going to unmute you and see if there's anything you want to share with these brand new wine consultants that are here.
Oh my gosh, you're awesome. And at this hour, you can see my grammar's terrible when I said that you're too sweet. This is really a great call, and I learned from you, Kate, and I've learned from everything that you've had to share. And I really had to stop and think. I was like, man, you earned 101 points, which is amazing, but it just shows how doable it is to get to the 48 level. So I will tell you that the business is way different now than it was when I started in 2005, and it is so much better and more achievable with so many more opportunities for everybody. So you've just joined at a really great time. I've seen this business through handwritten commission statements, to no website, to no catalog, to record-breaking numbers, through bootstrapping it to luxury vacations, and this is a great time. And oh my gosh, do you realize we literally have only about 15 or 1,600 active consultants, so we are just scratching the